Sherry Burton, a Sandy Hook teacher's assistant who called 911 just moments after hearing those first horrifying shots. Tonight, she tells our Griff Jenkins how she kept 16 students safe as gunman Adam Lanza began his cruel killing spree.
I called 911 and they said that they had some calls come through already, and they asked me to describe what I was hearing. And at that time, all I was hearing was pop, 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 pop. It wasn't stopping. And he said, "Do you think it's gunshots?" And I said, I think it's gunshots. At that time, I did not realize that our teacher could not lock our door. But she had saw the custodian. She said our door won't lock. And he shooed her into our room. And she closed the door. And he came back. He stayed in the hallway and he locked our doors.
Because when the first attack happened, I thought, we have a glass case. And I, as an educational assistant, I have flexibility to walk in and out of the classrooms, sometimes more than a teacher. So when I heard that noise, my initial reaction was, oh my goodness, one of our children is hurt. They broke the glass case in the front of the school, thinking, how did they do that? So I ran out into the hallway. And Rick Thorne, who is our janitor, was on day shift. And he had his phone, he was reaching for his phone, probably about the same time I was reaching for mine. And I heard him say, "It's shots fired." And he's talking, and I'm going, at that moment, he and something else turned me around and said, "Back into your classroom," because
but she had saw the custodian. She said our door won't lock. And he shooed her into our room. So now our doors are locked. And I'm sitting on the floor as close as I can be, and our students are huddled. And the shooting wasn't stopping. The loudspeaker tripped, and I thought I heard Barbara Halstead, our secretary. And I believe what I heard was, "Oh my God," and some crying. And then the phone went down, but the loudspeaker was still on. And I could hear the shooting from the door, but I could loudspeaker. It was, you could hear both. Like, I don't know where I was. And it didn't sound like it was coming our direction, but it was going on.
Krista, your mom works at the school, and she actually is one of the heroes. She saved, well, you tell the story.
Well, she hid under her desk first from him.
She's the first one that saw him, right?
Yeah.
He shot his, because it was locked, the school doors were locked, and he shot his way in. And your mom is the school secretary right there.
So she was right there. So she hid under her desk. Thankfully she got under the desk before he saw her. And he proceeded into the office, and thankfully didn't realize that she was there. And once he left the office, she was able to run into the nurse's office, and on the way stopped to answer 2 phone calls. One from the library, and she remembers that one, and one from a parent as well, which we found out later. And when the parent had told me, I had gone and asked my mother, and it sort of triggered the memory that she had answered that phone call as well. But what we were told from other teachers in the school was that as she was doing that, she tripped the intercom, and so they actually heard her answering the phone calls. and saying, you know, crying and saying, get on lockdown.
But she didn't, she then went after all of this, and the shooter was at his apex. You were told that she was not around, right? She was dead.
Well, yeah, it became apparent after that, you know, the school had emptied, and as time passed.
It was 4 hours.
It was 4 hours. She was...
Police had told us
Yeah.
at that time that there was nobody left alive inside, that they had checked every nook and cranny. Thankfully, they missed one. They missed
Yeah.
one with her mom and the nurse in it.
And they were hiding, right?
Yeah, they were in the nurse's supply closet.
How long did it take for the shooting to stop? Because they were in there for 4 hours. So how long did it take for the shooting to stop? To give a sense of how freaked out they must have been to not come out of hiding out of a closet for 4 hours.
My understanding is 4 to 6 minutes tops.
Right.
4 to 6 minutes.
The police arrived within 4 minutes of the first 911 call, and I'm to understand that it didn't take long after that before he ended it.
After some time, I think it was about 11:15, so we had been in that closet for about an hour and a half. I opened the door and I peeked out because my office has a lot of windows and looks into the courtyard, and I just saw what looked like maybe SWAT people, but I didn't know, you know, who they were. I didn't know if there were other shooters, and it wasn't until about 1:15 when somebody was jiggling the door, and but nobody called out. So I decided to be brave enough and open that door into the office, and a lot of state police officers were there at that point, and they were very surprised to see me.
They had been pregnancies like that every month.
We have different kinds of drills, you know, I mean, not in addition to fire drills and high wind drills and lockdown drills and evacuation drills. So we've done it. We've been doing it, you know, each month it's something different, you know.
So you've done those kinds of things fairly recently?
Recently, yeah.
During the commotion, somebody in the office keyed the public address system, and people could hear throughout the building, then could hear a scream and could hear gunshots. It was only on for a couple of seconds, but that was enough, and the teachers started locking the doors from the inside. How many children's lives were saved because somebody had the quick thinking to do just that?
And we are joined now by another survivor of this tragedy, the school nurse, Sally Cox. Thank you for coming in this morning. And I know this is difficult, but take us back to that moment. When did you first know something had gone wrong?
Hearing loud popping noise. I mean, just something I've never heard in my life. And your mind doesn't think that it could be that. But when the secretary called out to me, with terror in her voice, it just told me there was something terrible happening.
And that's when you went under the desk?
My computer desk, yes.
And while you're under there, you actually see the feet of the shooter?
There's an opening in the back for wiring, and as I was crouching down, I see my doorway, because in the office, you enter the office and then into my office. And when I heard the door close, you know, and he probably walked in, and I was looking, and I could see him from the knees down, see the legs.
Right in front of you.
20 feet away, facing his boots were facing my desk.
And then he turned and walked away?
And then it was seconds, and then turned and walked out, and I heard the door close.
Okay, so the door closes, what do you do next?
After the door closed, I don't know how the secretary had the courage to, but she did. She raced into my office and pulled the door closed and raced behind my desk. And then we pulled the phone off my desk, and I held the phone while she dialed 911. To call to
And
911.
thank goodness you did that, because
Yep.
the fact that the police got there so quickly, the governor told me this yesterday, prevented more killing from happening. And then right after that, you actually lock yourselves in
Then
the
we
closet,
raced into my supply closet and pulled the door closed.
and you were there for the next 4 hours?
Nearly, yeah. It was 1:15 before, we were petrified, and we didn't know how many there could have been. And we were listening. You couldn't hear a whole lot, but we did. I mean, we heard screaming and the gunshots. And
I know the police shielded you as you left, so
Yes.
you wouldn't see what happened.
right, they told us to close our eyes. They said, close your eyes.
But you knew every child in that school.
I see them all at least once a year for their hearing and vision. So, and then some I see a lot more often. But I get to know them.
I know at first you didn't want to hear about the victims.
Yeah.
Have you been able to learn anything more since?
Oh yeah. I mean, by Saturday night, the list wasn't officially out to the till the public till Saturday night.
Finally, I know you've been starting to learn about that you, for now at least, you may not be going back to Sandy Hook.
Right.
How long will that be?
They haven't really given us any indication. I mean, there are a lot of different things being mentioned, and but we know there's going to be at least a temporary place for us to go.
And not back to that school.
Not back to that school, no.
Sally.